Okay, welcome to today's live. My name is Denisha Wright, co-owner of Images of Ink and co-founder of Incredible Pressed Images Crafting, also known as Epic, where we refer to ourselves as the Kinfolks. Tonight, we are going to be doing a live on graduation stoles and how to design them in Affinity Designer. For those of you that are joining us, if you want access to the free stash, to get the template, you need to join our Facebook group, Incredible Pressed Images Crafting, which I will link below in the description of this video. So let's just go ahead, jump in and get started. So first things first, let me share my screen. For those of you that are trying to find the stash, let me go ahead and show you this first. So when you go into our group, this is going to be our homepage. If you go under the featured section, this is going to be the Google Drive for our new stash. If you had access to the old one, it was compromised and deleted, so it will ask you for permission, which you will not have. So when you come into the feature section, you will see the new Epic stash. Just click on the Google link here, and it will take you to all of our free templates, backgrounds, and designs that we offer. Okay, we update this quite a bit, actually. So most of these templates that are in here are for items that we sell personally. So I cannot guarantee that the templates will work for items that are purchased other places, but you can always adjust them in your software to fit if you decide to purchase from somewhere else. So I'm going to go in here into the stole. And tonight we're going to be doing the 72-inch stole. If you are working with the software that does not accept vector files, we do have a PNG version. If you are working like me in Affinity or Photoshop or anything else like that, then I do recommend the PDF version. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And I am going to download it, locate it in my folder, and then I'm going to open it with Affinity. So tonight I will be using Affinity Designer version 2. Okay, so that is one way. So all I did was right click on it and then did open with, and I went to Affinity Designer 2. And that's going to open my file up. Okay, so now here we are. Once you drop down your layer menu, you have your 2 separate curves. I like to label mine so that way I keep everything organized. So this is the left. You just click right on the word and it will give you the option to rename it. And this is the right. Okay. Another way that you can open it, you can go to File. Once you have the software open, you can go to File, Open, and then locate where you have your file saved. So for me, if I were to go to my Google Drive, I have a folder called Epic and the grad stole. And then I'm going to go ahead and open this one up here. Same prompts, load all the pages, just go ahead and click OK. And you're going to get the same exact thing. So left and right. So I'm going to delete this one since I already have one open. Or I'm going to close it out. Okay, so first things first, we need to know the measurements of this stole. This is the 72-inch stole, so that means that each side is about 36 inches. So if I click here, you will see right now I'm in points. So I want to switch that because I like to work in inches when I'm doing this, so that way I can keep better track. So I'm going to click off of everything, go to document setup. For document units, I'm going to change it from points to inches, and I'm going to hit OK. So now when I click it, this one is actually 38 because it does have the bleed area built into it, and the width is 6. Okay. All right, so first let's start. Let me minimize this. Let's start by giving ourselves a background. So I want to find a glitter background. And there are 2 options that we can use for that. We can stay within Affinity and use the stock files that they have, or you can always go to Google and search for a glitter background. Actually, your third option is if you have some files that you like to use for backgrounds, excuse me, you can use those as well, okay? All right. So I'm going to go over here to stock, which is over here in my menu. Okay, as you can see before, I was searching for textures. So I'm just going to delete that. If you don't have this button over here in your panel, you're just going to go to view. You're going to go to, excuse me. Oh, this is the new one. You're going to go to window under the old, if you're in Affinity 1, version 1, it's under view. If you're under Affinity 2, it's under Windows. And then you're going to make sure that stock is checked on. So if I check it off, it's going to disappear. If I check it back on, it will reappear. So now I'm just going to type in glitter. Actually, I'm going to type in white glitter because I did want a specific color. Okay. And I can pull this out just so I can get a bigger version of it so I can see more. My mouse is being crazy. Okay. And I'm just looking for a nice glitter background. Okay, so here's one. I can pull it in to see what it looks like. It's a little bit too blurry for me. I don't really like that version of it, so I'm going to delete that one. Over here where it says pixels, you can also change to Pixabay. There are 2 different providers in here, and they do give you different options. So if you search, as you can see, white glitter, I got 2 different sets of options. So you kind of just got to browse. It's basically like a mini Google within Affinity. So you don't even have to leave Affinity, and they're giving you access to free files. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this back into my layers panel, or back into my studio. And I'm going to use this glitter one. I like that. It has nice sparkle to it. The chunks aren't too small or too large. And I'm just going to shrink it and make it cover the entire area. Okay. All right. So now that I've done that, I know that I'm going to need my background to be on both sides. So I'm going to need at least 2 copies of this. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit duplicate. Okay, so now I have 2 sets of the glitters. Okay, but I'm going to leave them in the same spot. I'm going to take this first one. I'm going to drag it right over the word left. I'm going to take the second one, drag it right over the word right, and it's going to drop those into my image. So basically it just created like a clipping mask. Okay. The shortcut to do duplicate is Control J, if anybody wanted to know. So now that I have my glitter backgrounds, I need to go ahead and I can start adding my images. So I'm going to go over here to Place Image Tool. And these are the images that I'm going to use. Okay. So I can go ahead and grab, let's grab this one first. Actually, I can grab all 4. 2, 3, 4. Open all of them. And it's going to have me place them one by one. I'm just going to put them off to the side just so I have them all here. Okay. Control 0. I'm going to collapse this because I don't need that showing. All right. Let me put this up to the top. So now here are my 4 images. I'm going to grab all of these. Let's center them together. And I'm going to shrink them down just a little bit because they are kind of big. I'm just going to shrink them to 10 right now because I'm getting ready to go and take the backgrounds away. So this first one here, I'm just going to right click, copy. The shortcut is Control C. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go to remove BG and I'm going to paste Control V. Okay, there's my first one. I'm going to go ahead and download that one. Go back to my Affinity, grab the second image, Control C to copy. Go back over here, Control V. And you can do all of this ahead of time because you can't upload more than one at a time to remove BG to download and remove the background all at once. But I'm just trying to show you how to do it one at a time. Move that one out of the way, grab the third one, Control C. Oh, let me download that because I didn't download it already. And then Control V. for my next image. Okay, download that one. And let me go back and grab my last one. Okay, Control C again and paste it there. And download that one, okay? So now before I delete these four, I wanna make sure that my images come in fine. So again, I'm gonna go to Place. I'm gonna go to my downloads and I'm gonna grab those four that I just downloaded. And again, I'm just gonna place them. Slide them over onto the artboard, and now I can delete the originals because I don't need them. Okay, and let me close this group. All right, so there are my images with the backgrounds removed. Okay, so first thing first, you have to decide on how you want to set up your images. So I'm gonna do it just a little different from the original. That way you guys can see the whole process versus just trying to recreate what we already did. So I'm gonna do 2 pictures on the right side and 2 pictures on the left side. So I'm just gonna go the 2 younger pictures and then the 2 older pictures over here, okay? They're not in their spots, I'm just moving them so I know where they are gonna go. All right. So of course you see this one is on top of the baby picture, which I don't want. So I'm just gonna move it down in my layers panel. You can just drag it and make sure it goes below the baby picture. Your other option is, let me undo that. If you are not good with dragging and dropping, I know a lot of people kind of have a hard time with that sometimes until they get comfortable with it. You can click on the image and up here in your toolbar, you can use move to the back, move back 1. So you can go back 1 at a time. And so you finally get it to where you want it in the layers panel. So every time you click move, it's just moving it down in the layers panel. And over here, you can move forward 1 or move all the way to the front, okay? All right, so those are in the order that I want them to be in. Now I want to kind of clean these up because I don't want these sharp edges. So on this baby one, since it's really just the bottom of the feet, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my transparency tool. The shortcut for this is the letter Y. And I'm just gonna drag from the center down to kind of fade it, okay? So now that kind of gives me the fade look right there. I'm gonna do the same thing for this one. Again, the only one that has the sharp edge is the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my transparency tool and just drag down. Now, if you don't want that much of it faded, you can just grab this and bring it down a little bit so it's not as much of it faded. You kind of just play around with it, the angle that you want it to fade. If you go up higher, you can do that, and then you can adjust this little line here to bring the fade down a little bit if you want. You just got to get it to where you think it's the best for you. I really just want to get rid of that sharp edge, so I'm going to leave it right there. Okay. So now when I'm looking at it, it's a little better. I'm just going to move this up just a little bit. And whoops, I accidentally added another color. I'm going to Control Z to delete that out. And then just trying to give it a good fade. So that's a quick way to get a fade. This works because this is a PNG layer. So if you look here and I hover over the name, it says PNG at the end. If you rasterize your layer, you cannot use that tool on it. So make sure that you make all the changes that you want beforehand, and then you can rasterize it after. That way it'll save all of your settings. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing over here, but I'm just gonna show you it's not really gonna work. Well, let me pull in let me pull in the square one just in case. Like for some reason, you can't get rid of the square. The remove BG is not working, so you want to still use that picture. Let's grab that one. Let me shrink it down. That's kind of big. Okay. And you're like, I still really want to use this school picture, but I can't get rid of the background cleanly. So we're going to grab this same image. I'm going to grab my transparency tool. So if I do the straight line, that's fine, but it's still going to give me the harsh edges on the side. So I'm going to click the transparency tool, and the context toolbar, I'm going to click elliptical. Okay. Let me undo that. Let me move the picture so you guys can see it better. And let's make it a little bigger. Okay. I'm just going to move that out of the way. So I'm going to hit transparency. Over here where it says none, I'm going to click elliptical, and it's automatically going to apply it. But as you can see, the picture is pretty faded too. So remember when I said you can move this out? So basically it's taking, the more you go to the inside, the more the transparency goes to the middle. The more you go to the outside, it starts to fade it out towards the edge. You don't want to go all the way to the, you can go all the way to the edge, and it's going to give it like a rounded, that old like rounded picture, which is better than just what that square picture was, right? So this would work for me better than it would if it was just that square image. But that's just another way for you guys to use the transparency tool. So let me take a sec. I'm going to check the comments really quick. I like this tool. Is this Affinity? We're in Affinity 2, but all the tools I've used so far, all of these tools are in Affinity 1. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to delete this picture because I don't want to use that one. And I'm just going to do the regular linear fade on this one. So there's that. I'm going to grab this one, do the same thing. Take that one off. Oops. Grab the black, move it down a little bit, because I really just wanted to cut off that straight edge from the chair. Okay, there we go. Control-0 will make your screen go fit screen. So if you don't want to like zoom in and out, you can just hit Control-0 and it'll jump it to your max screen size for that board. Okay. Photoshop has a similar tool, but I can't remember what the name of it is. It's one of the blending tools though. So now I'm going to just arrange these kind of where I want them. As you can see, it kept like trying to snap to the middle. If you're trying to move it around because the area is so small and you keep getting stuck because it keeps trying to snap to where it thinks you want it to go, you can just turn off the snapping up here with this magnet. The snapping is good when you want things to be aligned, but sometimes it does get in the way because when you're in a small area, it's trying to snap to like the nearest margin, and it can be a hassle, and you can always just turn it right back on when you're done. Okay, so before we start arranging these, I do have a few tips to share. So for me, the width of this stole right here is 6 inches wide. But remember, that includes a bleed area. So you want to make sure that you have a safety zone. So what I like to do is I'll take a rectangle. If I'm pushing the limits, like I did with those graduation stoles that I did for the basketball team, I went 5 inches. But when I tell y'all I was pushing like every inch of that stole, like I was pushing every inch. So maybe you want to go like 4.8, 4.75 if you don't want to be like hassling to line stuff up. But like 4.8, 4.85 is good. 5 inches can be done, but I'm telling you, I was literally pushing the limits. And luckily it wasn't, for me, the pictures that I put on there with the design, it was fine. But if you have anything that's really important that you don't want to get cut off, I would recommend about 4.75 as the safety area. So I was going to take this all the way to the top. If you want, turn it red and then bring down the opacity. So you can grab here and kind of drag it down until it's light enough for you to still see, but not to be like in your way. So what's this, like 15%? I can still see where the safe area is, but it's also still not distracting from what I want to design. So I'm going to make a copy of this and I'm going to drag it over the center. You see how my snapping, it puts it right on the center of that. Whoop. Well, my mouse isn't going crazy. That lets me know that it's in the middle of that design. Okay. So anything that I do not want to get cut off, I need to make sure it stays within this red area. So here, I'm going to drag this picture out. If you hold control, it'll drag it evenly. I don't mind if some of the dress part gets cut off in it, but I do want to make sure that her face stays on there. So I'm going to do that. Same thing here, because I mean, I don't want like super tiny pictures to be on this stole. Like I actually want you to be able to see them, but there are some things that I don't want to get cut off either. So I'm going to leave that one right there. And now I'm going to make these bigger. And as you can see, my square is telling me that this is 10 inches wide. So if I were just to type in like 5 inches, the square is 5 inches, but look how little that picture is. So that's the other good thing about having the safety area, so you can actually see. And then this one I'm going to make bigger and drop it down behind her some. Turn off snapping because it's trying to snap to everything. And it doesn't help that my mouse is being crazy. All right, so there we go. Okay. On those stoles that I did, you don't want to design all the way up to the very, very tip top because you're not going to see what's going behind the neck. So I kind of go like halfway, maybe a little over halfway. So, oh, my snapping. I was like, why isn't it telling me where halfway is? Turn the snapping guides back on and it'll take me, there's halfway to the center of my paper. And I just go up looking at my ruler over here about 4 more inches. So that's just a guide for me. You can design all the way up to the top if you want to, but I kind of like to leave myself that little space. So, or I put things that are not as important up there at the top. So like if I were to add, like if this was for like a memorial, if I was going to add like some doves or something, you know, I can add some of those elements up there as well. Okay. So there's that. Now let me grab another rectangle. I'm just going to go straight across with it. I want this to be a pretty good width because this is where I'm going to put some of my text. So 4 to 5 inches wide. I like to pull out a ruler and just look at it like, okay, it's 4 inches wide enough for me to see the information that I want to see. So if I have a ruler right here, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. That's plenty of space. And I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Okay. But then you have to remember, you have a left side and you have a right side. So if it's going to be something that you want on both sides of your stole, you have to make sure you make 2 copies of it. But I like to design it first. Like if I'm going to add any outlines, any strokes to it, design that one first, then you only have to copy it once. So I need a school logo. Let me go Let me place one because I don't have any colors. So I'm gonna go to the place tool. Go back to my drive because I have a bunch of mascots in here from basketball season. And let's pull out, which one, guys? Which one should we use? Okay, somebody said tap. Well, I don't want to do tap actually because the original one that I did was blue and yellow. So her original school was blue and yellow, I think. So let's do a different, sorry, I should have said that. Let's go with the Rams. I don't know. I don't know why I did that. Oh, somebody said McFarland. Okay, we can do McFarland. That one will work. McFarland. Boom. Okay, McFarland, since we're already like in red. And I'll just leave that one off to the side because I'll just show you how easy it'll be for you to make adjustments later. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab my color picker tool and I wanna pull out this same color red here and apply it to my rectangle. And then I'm gonna add a stroke, which is already black, and I'm gonna move it up. Alignment, I like to go to the outside so it pushes it outward. And then the order, I like the stroke to be behind. On this rectangle, it won't really matter because we're going to drop it inside, but I just like to follow the same. Oh, hold on, it says it's not responding. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it kind of froze right there telling me it wasn't responding. For me, that is my clue to save my work. Because if it would have just crashed right now, I would have lost everything that I did. So I'm gonna just do 72-inch stole zoom. All right. And then periodically just save your work. So we're gonna go with the stroke. So my alignment is behind, or my alignment is to the outside and my order is behind, okay? You can give it as much thickness as you want. So let's just go with 20. But I want to bring the opacity down because I don't want it to just be like, block it out, that's gone, it's missing. So let's bring it down to 70. Kind of gives me like, why is this freezing like that? Kind of gives me like a shadow effect. If you want to decrease it more, you can go even more. If you use the number pad on your keyboard, it'll adjust. So if I hit 5, that'll equal 50%. If I hit 1, that's 10%. 9 is 90%. 0 takes you back to 100. So let's go with, I'll keep it at 70. Okay. All right. Every time I try to zoom, that's when it does it. So for me, I don't want my stroke to be a gradient. Like I want my stroke to be solid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layer and I'm going to go to expand stroke. But before I do that, right click. Just thinking. Okay. So it expanded the stroke. So now basically what it did was it took the stroke and it took the rectangle and it separated them to their own separate layer. So if I turn the rectangle off, now I just have the stroke that goes on the outside of it. If I turn the stroke off, now the stroke is gone. Okay. So I want my stroke to be back to 100% because I do want that to be dark. But you got to remember when you move one, you're only moving one at a time. So you either have to click both of them and regroup them. So right click and group. So that way they move together. But as you can see, the property still stayed. And now I'm going to label this rectangle. This is just for me later on when I go back to remake a new one, I know what everything is. And I'm going to make a copy. Okay. All right, let's start organizing this. So on my left side, I have the two baby pictures. So I'm going to grab this baby picture or the younger pictures. And this one, if you hold control on your keyboard and click it, you can grab both of them. And I'm going to drop those and hover right over the word left. And it's going to drop them right inside. And then I'm going to grab one of my rectangles and drop it in the left side as well. Now I'm going to grab my two older pictures and the other rectangle and drop it inside of the right. So now it's starting to get a little bit clean. Okay, when I dropped them in there, the order changed up. So I need to go back and reorder. So let me open up the right side. This picture needs to be on top. So I'm just going to go to move forward one, move forward another one, and boom, it's fixed. Okay. Let's see. Over here on this side, we can go ahead and do some text. So I'm going to grab the artistic text tool and we can go with her name. Okay. So there's her name. Let's go ahead and find us a nice font. I don't even know, like this is literally for make believe, but I still have a hard time. We'll pick that one. I like that one. Okay, center it up there. Again, if you can't see your red area, you can make it a little bit more so you can see, whoops. So you can see that safety area better if you want to. Make it another color, something yellow, nice and bright, or whatever you need it to be. So this is really going to be critical because you don't want this to get cut off. So I'm pushing it like almost to the very edge of it. And there we have it. I'm going to go back over here to stock and let's see if we can find a 2023. Let me pull this out so we can see. Okay, so over here in Pixabay, they do have a vector option. So if you click on vector and they actually have one, then it will give you some vector options. And you know, with vector options, you're able to change the colors a lot better, a lot easier than you would with just a pixel image. So, all right, there's a 2023. I probably picked the worst one because it has all of these gradients. Whoops, let me go back. Let me put this back over here out of the way. So once I drag it into 2023, you can see it says an embedded document. That means I can alter this document. So if I double click on it, it's going to open a new window. And any changes that I make over here to this document, let's just say I change the color of this one to be that. Oh, that actually doesn't look bad. And keep the gold background. Whoops. Let me undo that. Grab the face of the 3. Change it. The face of the O. Change it. Now, when I close this out and go back, it's going to make the changes over here. So anything that you do in the embedded document is going to make the changes for you on your new document. This is great when doing certain designs because when you need to go make changes, you can do that real easily. For me, sometimes I don't like to work in that manner, so I like to copy and paste. But because that one was so many pieces, I'm just going to leave it in the embedded document. So any of these that you would want to change, you can go in and switch, but I'm going to leave it gold and we're going to pretend like McFarlane is red and gold, even though they're like red, black, and silver. Wait, you mean to tell me you have a two-toned? Yes, absolutely. Yes. Affinity is the bomb, I swear. Okay, so we're going to do that. I actually want the 2023 to be bigger, so I'm going to go in here, go back to the embedded. I'm going to try to grab everything for the 2 and the 3, and I want to Whoops, I missed something. So as you can see, one of my outlines didn't come with me. So I need to figure out where that outline is. Did I get it all now? Nope. Oh, it's all in one path. So that outline for that 2023, it's all in one. So let's break it apart. So up here on your Boolean, you can do divide. So basically it took all of that, that was one piece. So let me undo that so you can see it. So right here, it says it's a path. So if I bring it up here, you can see it's all one. But when I clicked on the path and it gave me the option to divide, basically that says to break it apart. Now it's all these individual pieces. So you have the two, the other two, the inside of the O, the outside of the O. Apparently there's a little stray piece on the 3 that whoever created this file didn't catch, but it's fine. So I'm going to put it back where it was, put it back in its place, and now I'm going to break it apart right here. So now I can grab all of this, okay, move it under. So now it's, and remember, anything I do over here in this embedded document is going to change it in my original, okay? Because I want this to be bigger and I only have so much space. So with it being stretched out like that, I didn't have as much space as I wanted. So let me shrink it down just a little bit to fit right in there, okay? And with this one, because it's not in the center of the thing, I can go back my embedded document. If I put it in the middle of my artboard, I can line it up a little better because now it's in the middle there. So then I can use my snapping tools. See that? Boom, 2023. So because this, and let's just make this the gold color now. So I'm just gonna go grab I'm going to go back to my embedded document and click on one of them that has, let me put some text over here. I'm just going to put a letter A. I don't care. So I'm going to basically what I want to do is I want to take this. So here's my 2 colors. It's the gradient. I can grab the 2 colors from here. So if you want to remember what 2 colors these are, and you can add, so let me see, I don't need that. And I'm just going to add it to her name. So I just took the picker tool here and grab one of these, a part of this gold, one of them that looks nice, and apply it to her name there. And we'll jazz it up in just a little bit. And then just for the sake of showing you guys a tip, let's right click on this logo, rasterize it. Remember, once I rasterize it, some of the tools that are in the design feature won't work over here. So let's rasterize it. Let's see how good this one's going to work. Let's go to our pixel persona. So this persona is similar to like the Photoshop persona where it has like all of the editings. Grab our marquee tool. Oh, I need to put it onto the board. Sorry. Control D as in David to deselect so that way I can move this around. Let me move it up so it's not in the way. And then select my, okay. That means anything that I do within here is the only thing that's going to be affected. So I'm clicked on the M. If I do the erase tool, I can erase anything in this area. I cannot erase out here because I don't have that area selected. and it's not within the rectangle area. So undo that. But what I want to do is the fill tool. So I'm going to grab the paint bucket, fill the paint bucket with that gold color. And this is probably not the best image to try this with because of the gradient, but we're going to say we want to turn everything that's black to gold. And as you can see, because that gradient color goes into there, it's not a very good image. But if you were to find one that was like solid black, so I would have to like go through very carefully and change it all. But like I said, this was not the best image, but that's just one way that you can change colors on a PNG that you cannot, that you would normally, if you were to do it with a vector file, you could just use the color wheel. But remember, on images or rasterized images, you cannot do the color wheel like that. So let's undo all of that. But that's just another little tool that you can use. Undo, undo. Control D to deselect. And we'll just leave it. It's not that big of a deal. And let's see. I'll just put it right there. And if I don't want it to be, I'm going to stretch it out to go the full length. So I'm not caring if it gets cut off a little bit. I don't mind. We can even move it. Let's move it to the bottom. So we know it's the big M. I don't like it there. The only way I like it there is if I move, let me go back to my layers. If I move my rectangle up some. So let me move my rectangles up. So go to the left panel, grab the rectangle, go to the right panel, hold down Control, grab the right. I might as well grab her name and the 2023 all at once, so I can just move it all together. And then we're just going to slide it up some. That's good. And then I'll shrink this down. And then I can put the logo right there. I don't even know if I like that, but I really don't, but that's okay. Let me drop this inside of the left side to see how that looks. No, I just don't like it there at all. Sorry, y'all. Let me undo and put my rectangles back where they were because they were just fine right there. And I'll just put the mascot at the top or the logo. Let me see what else. So I'm gonna grab these 2 pictures and these 2 pictures, and let's slide them down some. So I have my move tool. Okay, and as you can see here, this picture is above the rectangle. So I need to move it down, or I need to move the rectangle up actually. So that looks better. Okay. All right. And our last thing, I don't even know how I feel about this. Let me see, let me move it below this. It's not too bad. And then over here, I'm going to take this, make a copy, Control J, move it over to this side, move it all the way to the front. Let's make it black for now so I can see it. And let's call this McFarland High. Nope. Class of. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Add a stroke the same color as the outline. Throw it to the back. Make it a little bigger. So it looks like it's kind of cut in through there. And let me see if I want to change the color of the front. There we go. Boom. That looks better. And let me check the chat. Yeah, I'm trying to see how I can do all this in Photoshop. Right now, Affinity, I think it's still on sale. I want to say it's $99. You get Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, and Affinity Publisher. But if you only want the one, yeah, I think Tasha's right. It's $40.99. And it's a one-time fee. Like there's no subscription. Once you own it, you own it. As long as they are giving updates, you will continue to get the updates. So like for me, I have version 1. Since they made version 2, there's no more updates to version 1, but it still works. So yeah, I think it's a really good deal. Because I know some, like if you're using Photoshop, like I'm not knocking it at all. If you use Photoshop and you pay the subscription and you're using it every day to create stuff, it's paying for itself. But if you're paying a subscription just for it to sit there, buy Affinity and let it sit there. You already paid for it. I don't know. Like, no, don't let it sit there. Honestly, just use it. So let's jazz this up a little bit. Let's go to effects. This is one of the features that I do love from the new version. So all of the effects are still the same. You still have your bevels, your outlines, your 3D, your shadows, but I'm going to show you one of the things that I do like that they did add. So let's add a bevel to the name. Let's go with, we'll go with the pillow, and I'm going to decrease it just a little bit because that was a little extreme. Hit the scale with object. Don't forget to hit that. I always forget. I've been requesting them for them to make that a default. It does not happen yet. So you can play around with it. If you go to emboss, I actually like that one better. So let's use that one. At about a 3, kind of just gives it a little bit of a 3D look. Let's give a little bit of an outer glow, just a little. And let's turn the glow to black. Okay. And then let's grab our outer shadow, but I want to use the offset tool. So as you can see, it gives me this arrow with 2 squares, and I'm just going to drag like a light drop shadow. Just a little bit, nothing too extreme. Just to kind of give it like some separation. So there we go. This is a lot easier when your mouse works. So just from that right there. So we basically took it from that, just a flat text, to this using 3 effects. Nothing fancy, nothing major, like just something nice and simple. Okay. So the thing that I do like about this though, so let me see if I can get both of these on the screen at the same time. Okay. Can you guys see the name and the class of? Thank you, Jessica. Control S, save. So if you're up here and you see this says modified, that means if I do Control S, it's going to save it. So I haven't made any changes since the last time I saved it. Once I move something, it's going to say modified again. So now I'm going to take the effects. So whoops. If you look at the name here, it has the effects layer. Let me make sure I have scale with object on. And if I click on this effects and drag it to the class of, it's going to do the exact same thing to that one. I don't have to go back and look and see like what percentage did I do, which effects did I use, none of it. It's just automatically, if I can drag and drop these effects all over the place, and it's going to do the exact same thing to every single item that I drop it on. So let me take, I don't want another rectangle. That is new to version 2. And I love it because it makes my work time so much faster. Because I could just like, oh, I love the way this effect looked. Let me just drag and drop it and put it on another piece of text, especially when you're in the same project, because you want to keep it uniform. The thing is, when you do your effects, make sure you do scale with object, because if you don't, if this is super big or super small text, and then you do it on super big text or in reverse, the proportions are not going to be right. So make sure, and you will know once you do it, you will know, like, let me go back, let me undo that. So if I go to my effects, turn this off, let's just say I make this a lot bigger, and then I drag it onto here. Like, it's a lot more exaggerated. It's not too bad, but you can see like the glow is a lot more, and it just doesn't work as good. So make sure, go to effects, scale with object, make sure that's checked. And then when you drop it on there, you get the same, it's proportioned to whatever size the image is that you're using. Now, if you have version 1, you can still do this. So let's undo. Let's take it off of that. So click on the layer that you want to use. Her name has the effects. You're going to do Control-C. Okay. Now click on the layer that you want to put it to. Go to Edit, and then Paste Effects. So the shortcut is Shift-Alt-V, which I had that mastered. Like, I was doing it left and right, which was saving me time as well, but the drag and drop is just so much faster. So you go there and it does the same exact thing. So if you have version 1, you can still use that shortcut, so you don't have to remember what effects, because normally I used to be like this, like, okay, I did an outer glow. Okay, let me go to this one. Let me do an outer glow. Go back to this one. I did a shadow. Let me go back to this one. Let me do a shadow. Over here, which bevel did I, like, you had to go back and forth. Now you can just drag and drop. It's so much easier. Or like I said, if you're in version 1, do Control Copy, and then Shift-Alt-V, or go to Edit, Paste Effects. It'll do the exact same thing. Okay. All right, last little piece. Let's go back into our left side. Let's grab our image, which is our glitter in the background. So I'm going to turn off the 2 red rectangles for now, because we pretty much have our stuff set. So let's grab our rectangle and let's turn it the red color. Okay, so it's looking like really, 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 really red, right? Let's go to our right side and let's make that one the gold color. Okay. So if you want to darken this one a little bit, you can click over here, kind of drag it. Oops, not to the black, not all the way to the black. Oh, let me go. Sorry, go to the effects, or to the pixel panel. Let me grab this red background and let's darken it. Oh, you know what I need to do? Reset, reset, reset. Take that off. Let me go back over here. Back to designer. Let me grab the left, the color behind the left is there. So I changed the color. So when we first pulled in the template, it was a gray color. So I just switched it to a black color. Now I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to adjust the opacity, because if I make it lighter, the opacity lighter, then the background's going to show through more, and the background behind it is black. So if I want it to be like a little bit darker red, I can adjust it that way. And then the same thing here if I want to do this one. So make the background black, grab the gold layer, and then adjust the opacity. And let some of that black kind of shine through. Boom, there we go. Let me move this to the right side just because it's red on red. So I want to put it onto the yellow instead. And I want it to go below her head. So let's just drop it back so it's not on top of her head. And there's that. Let me see. Any questions? Yes, that's me in one text. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to log off, but I will hit you up. I need a better. Perfect. All right, let me see. Questions. Okay. So there's that. Boom. I'm really not feeling this right here, y'all. Like I can't. And I really can't even figure out where to put it. I think it's because it's just like a block M. Like maybe I should have grabbed the cougar. I don't know. I'm taking it out. But if you wanted to do this quickly to another school, so let's just say like, oh, you have somebody else that's like, oh, I love that design that you did. Let me go ahead and order one for my son. So only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go grab my rectangle. Let's open that up. It's burgundy. Let's go ahead and pick this green color and turn it to green. But I got to go do the same thing on the other side because remember, there's two different ones. And let's turn that one to green. And luckily, this gold is pretty much the same, but because we want it to be the exact as their logo, let's just go ahead and boom, do that. And let's grab this one and boom, do that. And let's go in here. This is an embedded document. So let's go ahead and grab that. Okay, my colors left because the last thing that I had left in there was the gold. So let's close this back, or I didn't have to close it. I could have just clicked back over. Let me grab the green, go back to my embedded file. Now the green is saved in there. Grab this, turn it to green, turn it to green, turn it to green. Okay, close it. Boom, it turned to green. Go in here, grab my background there, turn it to green. I'm like, oh, good Lord, that's like super bright. Maybe if I take out more of the opacity, it'll give me a little bit darker. So let's put it to 50. And then the same thing with the gold. If I wanted to change this gold to be the same gold as that one, I could do that as well. Boom. And then I would just have to come in and change out the pictures. I don't want you to think I wasn't participating on no, no problem at all. No problem at all. Always, I didn't know about the drag and drop of the effects is new to 2.0. So in 1.0, you couldn't do that, but in 2.0, you can. Yeah. So if you have 1.0, you try to do it, it's not going to work. But in 2.0, it will. Yeah. It's super simple. Probably one of the most basic ones I've done, but if you wanted to add a little something to it, let's just say let me take these two images. If I slide them over here, of course, you can't see them yet because they're still on the left side. Let me go take them, put them in the right side. Or sorry, put them in the left side from the right side. Move this one down. Oh, go back. This one needs to go forward, forward. This one needs to go forward. Boom, now they're in the right order. Okay, so let me rearrange these. a little bit. Like, let me turn on my rectangle so I can stay in my safe zone. Make sure. Boom, we're still good there. Let me grab the last picture. Okay. Remember, because this is like my halfway point, I can go a little bit above it. It's not a big problem, but I don't want to go too far above it. So let me just grab all of these, move them down a little bit. And that's just a personal preference. I mean, you can go up as high as you want. Now that I did that one, it doesn't seem proportionate to the rest. Like her head on there looks way bigger. And let me move these two down a little bit. Boom. Okay, so we'll do that. And then let's come over here. Give me some text. We'll do McFarland. Is that what we said? That's what school we use? Okay, I know I'm not liking that font. So let's go grab us a nice bold font. I love Captain America. Let's rotate it. So you can rotate whatever degrees you want. Whoops. So to rotate it in 15 degree increments, just hold shift so that we can get a nice clean. And let's make this 4.5. Whoops. Nope, let me undo that. Let me mark this 4.5. Okay, so we're going to drop this right there, right into the middle of our safe zone. It's like the max. Let's bring this down. Let me match the color since we are using the green right now. So let's swap it out. I don't want the stroke on, but I do want to apply my effects. Let me drag and drop that onto there. It's thinking. Control S to save because that took a long time. Okay. If that's too bold for you, like you're like, okay, I like the way the effects went, but I don't want it to be as strong. You can always go in and adjust them a little bit. So let's just say like my emboss, I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit. And then for me to help it stand out, let me turn off the red so I can see. I'm going to add the stroke back and just increase it a little bit. The miter tool, as you can see, like here, it's kind of like rounded corners. Like I want them to be sharp. That's why I like the font because it has a sharp font, a sharp corner. So I'm gonna just increase that to 10. It's gonna sharpen those up a little bit. And then I'm gonna bring it back down to like 5. Boom. And that just kind of, for me, helps it stand out a little bit. Let me grab this font, duplicate it, move it to the front. And let's just say, oh, I have cap locks on, class president. Or if they tell you like, oh, I want you to add something special, you know, that pertains only to them. You can also rotate over here using at the bottom where it says rotation. Minus 90 is the opposite direction. And that will like, oh, she was valedictorian. I think the one I just did, she was summa cum laude, like whatever, if you want to add something special in there, this is where you can add that. So go ahead and line these up. If you want it to be centered onto the McFarland, you can grab class president, hold down control, click on McFarland, and then go to your alignment tools, center it horizontally and center it vertically. Now you know they're perfectly aligned. Here, I want to make some separation. So let's do a little bit of a stroke. Oh, not that much. Let's do 3. And let's change the color to either white or green. Let's see if I swap the colors and then put this to white. So then this is where you just kind of like play with it and whatever you feel is the best. I don't know if I like that. That was not as bad. So, whoops, not that. I want to change the stroke, so let's play with that black, the green. The white kind of just makes it stand out a little bit more. So we'll just leave it there. Boom. And there you go. Yes, I was trying to see if I could get you back to the everyone function, but I can't. Oh, let me see what's going on. Oh, okay, let me see. There you go, Keita. You should be back on everyone now. Something happened to your co-host. Okay, any questions? So another quick shortcut I'll show you guys real quick. Let me see, delete, let me take that out, close that. If you go to, let's just say, well, let me change this to the right. If you grab this one and you go to select, same select, and everything that has that fill color, and let's just say you want it to be pink now, it'll take everything that had that fill color and make it pink. So this is another way that you could do a quick swap out. The only thing is you have to make sure you use the same shade. So if I would have had a different shade of gold accidentally selected, it wouldn't have picked that one. And then you go to the green, go to same, go to select same, fill color, and let's just say we want it to be blue. It's going to change everything that was that color to blue. So apparently here, so let me undo. Because remember earlier I had 2 different greens. So you see that my rectangle didn't change. So if I go to this green, I can see the hex code is 00451E. And then if I go to this rectangle, oh, close that. It should be the same. Oops. It's the same, 00451E. So when I select this one, it should all change everything. Oh, you know what? Let me drop these down into their layers. Maybe that'll help. Let's see if that'll change it. Well, it doesn't help if I hide it. So if I grab, select, fill color. Nope, it's still only grabbing those 2. So I don't know why it's not grabbing all of them, but I'll just do that color blue. And then I'll go back and grab these rectangles, select same, and do the same color blue. Boom. Now, remember, this is an embedded object. So I'm going to have to go in and change that myself because it's basically its own object on a whole nother layer. But once I double click and go over here, select the green, select same color, fill, change it to blue. I can change them all at once. So now I've changed out all of the colors. I got a new person. Go to McFarlane. Let me center this font. Now she goes to, let's go to Independence. And she was not class president. So let me change this. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit so that it fits. she was head cheerleader. Whoops, undo that. I like to type off of the center font because it'll type from the middle out. So it kind of keeps it even. So we'll go head cheerleader. Okay. I might want to shrink it down just a little bit because that's a little bit longer. And then I need to switch out her name. Let's say, oh, forgot. Center all of your fonts. We'll say Crystal. Okay. If you need to turn your rectangle on so you can make sure it's in the right spot, it's not getting cut off because Crystal's a little bit longer. Nope, it's still good. Swap out the pictures. Boom. So there you go. Do you sell your design templates for your stores? I actually do have some on my website that I did a couple years ago. And like I said, some of the designs that I create aren't just specifically for like a certain item. So I think it says like grab pack. I think it was for a garden flag, but we turned it into other items. So basically what I would do is, let's do a new document. Did I click on you? I think I did. It's thinking. And let's just do 13 by 19 because that's about the size of the flag. Margins, let's go 1 inch all the way around. So basically what I do is, like with any template that I have, is if I'm gonna make this design, I'm gonna do the same thing. Like their whole design is gonna be the same thing. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this glitter background, copy it, paste it over here, make it fit, whatever I need to do to get it to fit. And with this one, I put the margins in, I kind of put in my safe area. And I'm gonna come back over here. Like I'm gonna grab the head cheerleader and the school name. Where did the school name go? Control C. Go back over here, paste it. It was vertical. Let's go ahead and turn it to horizontal. Of course, I need to make some adjustments now because it's smaller. But now we have Independence High School there. Come back over here, maybe grab 2 of the pictures. So let's grab this one and this one. Paste it. Or I can even do all 4 if I wanted to. And then grab the other 2. And I'm basically just gonna rework the design to where, let me drop this down. Nope, above her. But I need the words to be in the front. And I'm just gonna create something similar. So as you can see here, like this one is kind of big and it's going below. Like you can always crop that out if you don't want that part to show. At the bottom down there, boom, there you go. But you still have the nice edge. Let me shrink this one down a little bit. I'm gonna swap these 2. Just because on this one, like I want to flip her. So that way it's kind of like she's going, like they're both, these 2 are looking in and that one isn't. But because this shirt has words on it, I didn't want to flip that shirt because then the words would be backwards. Oops, move it back. Below, there we go. So move that one over and then put this one up one. Come back over here, grab the class of 2023, copy it. It's thinking. So let's see where I want to put this. Let's move all of this up. Let's move this down to the corner. Let me move this. Maybe I'll put the school name at the top. And then add her name, which I'm just going to grab this one here. Copy. These colors are not the best to go together. As you can see, they're kind of hard to read. So like this glow is way too much. Way too much. And this bevel is way too much. So even though it was right when it was over on the stole, you got to think that was like 36 inches long. Whereas on here, it's only like 13. So you have to adjust it. The shadow offset way too much. Like, so you just have to come in and adjust it. All right, there's that. And then where did this one go? Her name. Whoops. I accidentally clicked on the embedded layer. It said Crystal. Turn it to the blue since our background is already that color. Grab the pink. Maybe add the pink outline. The white probably looks better. Grab this, resize it a little bit. Okay, and then boom, there you go. You have like a simple garden flag. So then, of course, if you want to come in, somebody else wants to swap out, change out the color, whatever color you needed it to be, change the name, drop in new pictures, and you are ready to go. So that's what I like to do. So like during graduation season, like to start out, I might have three different design options. So like, because normally they say like, I want to stole. Once you design it and send it to them, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like that. Or they've seen one that you've done online and they like it. And then you just adjust it to fit to their student or their child. So of course, make sure you turn off all of these when you print, like your outside area, the safety zone. And then you print these. So this one here is marked as 38 inches. So remember when I told you with the new method, if you go back and watch the old YouTube video or the YouTube video I just uploaded the other day, I only do the back. I don't do all the way up to the top of the neck anymore. So the new measurement, which I still designed it in this template, no problem, but now it only goes up to 35 inches because I have a 36-inch printer, so I can go up to 35 and a half inches long. So I just went up to 35 inches. So I'm going to show you how to split. So for me, I'm going to grab this text, go over here to character, and I'm going to add some spacing. Oops, not that one. So let me pull this out so you guys can see it. Okay, so I'm going to add some spacing. And as you can see, the letters are getting farther apart from each other. So let's go with 100 just to see. That's a little bit too much, too wide. So let's go with 75. Okay, that's not bad. Easier to read, nice and clean. When you know that you have to split your design because you don't have a larger printer, you have to design for that. So I had mentioned to someone, like, make your design work for you. So I'm gonna move this one up. About it. Let me do a little bit of spacing here. With script font, you can't do too much spacing because the letters are supposed to be connected. So keep that in mind, but you can do a little bit. Okay, so boom, there we go. So number one, I hate to split like on a picture because that means I need to like line her forehead back up right. And I just don't even like want the stress of that. So if you do have to split on the picture, try to pick a space that's not as important. Like, don't split it right across somebody's face if you don't have to. So for me, like if I had to do this, I would just use maybe 2 pictures and then do it that way. So the way that I split it here in Affinity, which I don't know if there's a right way or a wrong way, but you find the way that works best for you. Let's just say you have 13 by 19 paper. And just apply whatever size paper you need to apply to your printer. If you got 8.5 by 11, use 8.5 by 11. If you do have one of those smaller printers and you know you plan on doing a lot of stoles like this, they do have roll paper for your size printer. There is an 8.5 by like 60-foot roll or whatever it is. There is a 17 or 11-inch by whatever, a 13-inch. There is a roll. I would recommend those if you can get it, especially if you plan on doing a lot of stoles, because then honestly, you're only going to need 2. If you have an 8.5 by 11 printer, but you can print on roll paper, you're only going to need 2 sheets because you can do 8.5 by 36 inches and then do the second side 8.5 by 36 inches. So that's what I would recommend. If you plan on doing this, I would highly recommend getting roll paper. If you can't get the roll paper, we're gonna make it work. So let's go ahead and do this red. I want it to be the outline and I'm gonna mark off the middle. So this is, let me make it, let me save really quick before this crashes. Control S, okay. So let's make this, so the paper size is 13 by 19, but most printers do not print edge to edge. So we're gonna go 12.5 by 18.5, okay? So now you can grab, let me put everything where it needs to go. So head cheerleader, I really don't know what the lag is. I probably have too much stuff open right now. Okay, so head cheerleader is on the right side. So I'm gonna drop it on the right side. And class of the 2023 is on the right side. And then the name is on the left side. So really the only thing that should be, like all of this other stuff, like I'm not even using this anymore. These are my safety areas. I don't even need those. So this is all that you see. So let me grab the left side, move it over closer. Let me grab the right, move it as close as I can get it. So if I grab both of them and they're side by side, it's about 12 inches wide. So I need a little bit of separation so I can at least try to cut it. Boom. So that's 12.3. That's like cutting it real close. On this one, you could probably go like 12.75 on your paper if you want to. Okay. So this, let me lower the stroke just a little bit so you can kind of see, whoops. Okay, so this red outline represents my paper. So right now, basically, this is where my paper is going to cut off, okay? And I don't want to cut off like right in the middle of her face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down, and I don't want to cut off right in the middle of the letters when I can literally cut off in between these two letters, which is why I made the spacing. And this is like a really thick border. Like I can really bring this down so you can kind of get a better picture. So let's make this 12.75 because your printer should be able to go at least that far. So it's right in between there. It's going to be easier for me to line up a glitter background than it is to try to match up these letters perfectly. Okay. And like I said, I wouldn't want to line up her face or her body, but if I have to, I would rather do it here than across her face. Honestly, if this was me, I would rework the design to where maybe she only gets 2 pictures. So I would take one of these pictures out and make sure that they all fall on this first one. And then I can put like the mascot or something up here on the top, but you have to make the design work for you. So there's that one. Let me duplicate this box. Now I need to do the top half. So I'm just going to line this one up right on top of the other one. Oops. And it's going to butt up right against this one. Okay, let me put that in the center. Let me make sure this one is in the center. Okay, there you go. So there my boxes are set up. It's going all the way up to the top, even though I don't need it to go all the way up to the tippy top anymore, but it's fine because I'm still using 13 by 19 paper. I'm gonna use both of them. Now, to drop it. So, good Lord. This rectangle is the top. This rectangle is the bottom. Okay. But if you look, I have the left part of my stole is in the top and in the bottom. The right part of my stole is in the top and in the bottom. So that means I honestly need 4 pieces of my stole, because if I take my left part and drop it into the bottom, I don't have my top anymore. So let's undo that. Let's make a copy of the left. So right click, duplicate. Make a copy of the right, right click, duplicate. So I'm going to drop one of the lefts in the top, one of the lefts in the bottom, one of the rights in the top, one of the rights in the bottom. Okay. Now, if I turn off the top, this is what's going to print on my bottom paper. Before you print it, turn off your stroke. You don't want to print that red line, whatever color line you use. Okay. Turn off the stroke. Print this on 13 by 19 paper. That's the only thing that's going to show up on 13 by 19 paper. Turn that one off. Well, you don't have to turn it off, but turn that one off. Turn the top one on. Take off the stroke. Print this one on 13 by 19 paper. So you just took a whole stole and printed it on 2 pieces. I know I told you with the roll paper, you would also be printing it on 2 pieces as well. But if you had the roll paper, you wouldn't have to tape it back together. Because if you had the roll paper, you would do this side and that side. And that would be it. Any questions? Yes, make sure you have to duplicate it because basically now you have one, if you do top left, top right, that's 2 stoles, bottom left, bottom right, that's 2 stoles. So basically you need 4 copies of your stole, 2 of the left, 2 of the right, because you need to do top and bottom. Unless you do the roll paper, then you just grab this one side, you print that one side, you print the other side. That's it. Now, when you go to print, I don't even know if I have a printer set up. So these are the settings. This is how I print. So I go to File. So click on top, go to File, Print. Hold on. Okay, it's thinking. I'm trying to see if my smaller, because I do have an 8.5-inch printer, but I don't know if it's hooked up to this computer. So let me see if it's going to come up in the menu box. Yes. So, okay, there it is. So let me do this really quick. So, okay, there's my Epson 2750, which is an 8.5-inch printer. That's as wide as it'll go. So when I'm trying to print it here, it's saying, no, it's too large. You can't fit it on this paper, which I'm not going to be able to because I don't have 13-inch wide. But let me show you what I would do. So I would go to the range. You don't want to pick document. You only want to do selection. And then like this one is not, let me see if it'll let me. I don't even know if it's gonna let me go that wide. We'll just, okay, we'll pretend. So we're pretending like my 2750 can print 13 inches, even though I know it can't. So once I go to, if I go to document, if it's on document, it's going to show up red because it's telling me everything that's on this document it wants to print. Because in my Affinity file, I selected top only, I only want to pick on what I have selected, which is the top part of the file. And I know that it should fit on 13 by 19 paper. Then you're going to hit print. Go to bottom, go to file, print, document, selection. Make sure you set your paper size to whatever you have, 13 by 19. Boom, now it's going to fit there, it's going to print that. And then go to print. Somebody said in there, if you have the roll paper, you would just set it so you would go, so if you can get 13-inch paper, like you could do that on one sheet because this whole thing is going to be 12.5. You've got to move it closer together. So this is 12.75. You just grab that, go to file, print, and then you're going to go to your selection because you don't want to print the whole, all the white area. Custom. Your paper is 13 inches wide and you want it to be 36 inches long. Well, let's do 38 because it's still, boom, there it is. That's what it's going to print, just like that. So people are saying like, oh, you need a large printer to do it. Like, no, if you get the roll paper, they make wide roll paper or they make the 13-inch roll paper. If you can print up to 13 inches, get the 13 inches and get the roll because now you're only going to print out 2 instead of printing out, or you're going to print out 1, but you don't have to tape it back together because that's usually the part that most people hate to do is to tape it back together. The other thing, if you have 8.5 by 11, instead of making those squares 13 by 19, you got to make it to the 8.5 by 11. Now maybe you need 3 sheets of paper. So if I do 8.5 by 11, let's just say we'll do 8.25 by 10.75 because we can't print all the way to the edge. Okay, so now I got to do 1, Two. Go back on. 2. Good Lord. 3. I got to do 3 on this side, and then I got to turn around and do 3 on the other side. But if you really want to do it, I mean, it can be done. Would I want to do it? No, I wouldn't. Like, I would probably be like, who got a large printer and can print these for me? Find somebody close by. There might be a Kinfolk nearby that can print it for you, but it can be done. Again, get the roll paper, because if you get the roll paper, you just got to do 1 for the left, 1 for the right. Who has good roll paper? Let me see. Who else has good roll paper? I don't know if Craft and Besties brought theirs back. I think ASAP has it. You can find it on Amazon. I don't know who else. Well, I'll find out for some people and see if they can share in the group where they got their roll paper from. Yeah, with 8.5 by 11, that's gonna be a lot of cuts. I would highly recommend, if you have an 8.5 by 11 printer, I would highly recommend roll paper or outsourcing your prints. Finding somebody that's close by, or even if they're not close by, you got to order in enough time to get them before you need to have them printed. I know ASAP has some. I think Craft and Besties has them back in stock now. Yes. I would have to find out which one is the correct size. The ET 15,000 can go up to 13 inches. You can print up to 13 inches. I have the 8550 now. Remember, we talked about it. So does that one go up? What size paper does that one take? Does the 8550 go up to 24 inches, or is that one up to only 13? Hey, BB. So 13 by 19, and then yeah, you can get the roll for that. Let me see, question and answer. If you want to make the garden flag a banner, may I ask what size to make it? The banner, you would just basically whatever size banner you want to do. So like the basketball banners I did were 24 inches by 48. So you would just resize it to that and then design it. So whatever size banner you would want to make, that's the size that you would have to make your design. And then once you save it, however you save it, wherever you're going to print it at, that's what you would do. Yep. Any other questions? Do you have to have a certain printer to use the roll paper? Just, yeah, like it was answered in the comments, but it's best to check your individual printer to see if it has a feature, because some will tell you that there is a max length as well. So if there's no max length, like if you go into your printer, like the manual, go online. If you have an Epson, go to Epson to the support or the manual page, and it'll tell you if it can print with roll paper. Yes.